Hey channel, Fernando from SkyFi Audio. It is the 1st, or actually the 2nd of June. It's a brand new month, so as usual I am doing a new arrivals video where we showcase the equipment that arrived in the last couple of weeks. We've gotten a bunch of stuff and we also have a bunch of projects that are active right now, so I'm going to kind of combine the two into this video, which should be around 15-20 minutes. So I'm going to dive right in. The month has been mediocre. Sales are down this month. I suspect all the fears of inflation and concerns about the war and stuff have sort of kept people from making big purchases into high-end audio. We expect this will come back probably in the next couple of months. Summers tend to be a bit slower as well. So the good flip side to that is it gives us an opportunity to catch up on projects. They've been accumulating for the last 9 months, which has been super busy here. And this is a great opportunity for us to kind of tackle things like those MBLs. I've done a couple of videos on these MBLs, so we're jumping right back in and trying to get these sorted so they can go to market. So this is going to be more of a combination of what's arrived and what is cooking. So getting started, these are Electro Voice Aristocrats. They were waiting for some driver foam replacements. Actually, there was rubbing in one of the drivers, and these just came back from Miller Sound. We've installed them. This is a 3-way coaxial driver, super cool speaker, in very nice condition. Look at these grills, they're vintage gold. So these are ready to photograph. That's why they're sitting here for. We'll take some photos without the grills, and then we'll put the grills back on it and stage them and do another round of listening. So cool speaker, ready to go. These AR10 TTs, actually I've been calling them TTs, but it's actually AR10 Pi. That's the Pi symbol, which is a little flat for a Pi symbol, but I've now corrected myself. These are super cool. They've got adjustments here for woofer mid-range and tweeter. It's little attenuators. We just had the woofers refoamed by Miller Sound. They always do an amazing job, so we use them exclusively for our speaker repairs. They're fast, inexpensive, and super reliable. So 10 Pis. We have the grills for them somewhere. Here they are. Just a standard black cloth grill. But again, beautiful condition, very little fading on the wood surfaces, which we find to be the evil of old speakers. Just behind them, pair of Sonos Faber Grand Piano Domus, I believe, and in a wood finish. These are usually come here in black, and I'm thrilled to see them in this beautiful light sort of maple finish. And again, these tend to fade quite a bit, but it appears that the previous owner probably kept them in a fairly dark room because they are in beautiful shape. They've got the typical Sonos Faber leather-bound baffle. This is a pretty famous tweeter that I'm a big fan of, and 2 woofers in a mid-range. Nice configuration. What we don't have for these is the grill. Unfortunately, the grills, this owner must have had a run-in with that, or the speaker must have had a run-in with a cat, because the little string grills were not perfect. So we're going to try to source a new set or get them fixed up. Right behind it, Focal Diablo Utopia 3s. Is a tremendous bookshelf speaker. I'm not sure why they call it a bookshelf. It's always on a stand, and it's probably too big for a bookshelf, but that's a wonderful speaker if you want absolute transparency. All right, I mentioned these MC75 60th anniversaries the last time we spoke, but I've got now another piece that's going to go with these. I'll show you a bit later in this video, but I just wanted to point them out so we know what we're talking about when I refer to them. So it's MC75 watt mono blocks in a limited edition gold finish. All right, swinging back. This is a set of Wilson Tiny Tots sitting on puppy subs, and in a gloss finish. These just came in as a part of a full system. Super happy to have them. These are very nice speakers. They've already been reworked. The foam fails on the woofers 100% of the time, and the grills also tend to fail, but it looks like someone got to it before we did. So they tested beautifully, and now we're sort of like a little conflicted about what to do with them. These are original Wilson grills on them, and they are in good shape, but they're not perfect. So I'm kind of toying back and forth with the idea of replacing the grills. I'd love to know what you think, if you think it's worth the time or whether you think this look, sort of vintage grill look, is good enough. My options are to try to find replacements, which I think Wilson still makes them, or to actually just remove them and peel all the adhesive, which is hours and hours worth of work to do. And we could also present these without the grills. So I'd love to get your opinion on whether you think we should dive into this project or not. They're better than average, so they could potentially just stay the way they are. All right, so let me know what your opinion is, if you don't mind. All right, over here in some testing area, we've got this MX121 from Macintosh. It's a processor about 2 generations back. It is HDMI capable. It's got Odyssey. It's a full kit for us. We've got the remote, we've got the manual, we've got the microphone stand, the microphone and the wire to calibrate it. Really nice processor from Macintosh without breaking the bank. And sitting right next to it is a Macintosh 2100. This is a solid state amplifier from a couple of decades ago. I think it's 100 watts times 2, and it does look like a tube layout, but it is in fact solid state. If you look in here, you can see it's got the driver cards that are common for amplifiers of this age and size. They're actually interchangeable with a few different models. So they made another model just like this. What was it, Ben? 2105 is essentially this amplifier, but with a faceplate, meters, and the typical Macintosh look. I'll point one out later when I get to the rack, but I guess if you didn't have the money to go for a 2105 back 3 or 4 decades ago, you would get the 2100. Or maybe if you didn't care what it looked like, it's the same performance in a cheaper package. Looks like we're packing up a C26 here, and down below is a super minty MR71. All right, swinging back this way, I see we've got a pass 350.8. This is a massive 2-channel amplifier. I think we're doing some service to this for a friend of ours. It's not for sale. All right, swinging around. I mentioned in a previous video we're working on a test bench for long-term testing. So we've got, back in the back of the shop, we've got 2 tech areas where we do all our repairs. And then once the product's repaired, we've often moved it to one of these bays and done long-term testing. While we work, we sort of hook it up to a system and run an amplifier for a day or 2. But we wanted a more controlled environment. And we also didn't want to risk expensive speakers when we're testing amplifiers. So Ben had the idea of building a test bench, and that's what this is. We took a Gladiator table, we added a drawer to it for keeping cables on it. And then we're in the process of building all the patch panels and bays to connect equipment easily so we can do testing. So we've mounted an MA5200, which is a super convenient and flexible integrated amp from Macintosh. We've got Sonos for a source, a pair of average speakers that we don't care much about in case we blow them. And for example, this MC2205 is sitting here. It's been running all day. So we just bring the amplifier to this bench, hook it up really easily, and just run it put it through its paces before it goes to market. It's important to us that we don't get stuff back after we send it. So we try to do not just a quick bench test, but a long-term test if we've messed with it or if we are not 100% confident with its history or its results. This patch bay will be more complicated. We'll add balance connectors here. We'll have digital ins and outs, speaker connectors and all that. And this is essentially just so that we have quick access to connections. It duplicates essentially the back of the amplifier, the back of the speakers to a convenient mount in place. Just added a magnetic light to it as well. So this is a back shot of our test bench. All right, moving on. Going on to Bay 2, where it's mostly Macintosh. I see a little gem that arrived. This up here is this cute little tiny headphone amplifier. Elliot, what's the model on this? MHA200. It's a little headphone amplifier. Very well equipped. It's got balanced inputs as well as RCAs. It has the exact same form factor as their traditional MC275. And it does have facilities in the front for all types of headphone connections. It's got attenuation. So super capable, super cool. Moving on, this stuff has been here for a little bit. A Macintosh MT5, I think this is a new arrival. We'll put a brand new Sumiko, probably a Blue Point number 3, which is the new version of what typically would have come with this. So we'll get that one wired up soon. All right, we talk about the MBLs. We just replaced a bunch of resistors that were blowing in the crossover, and it's good to go. So now the last bit for me, I've had worked on the tweeter mid-range, got them working perfectly. Now I've got to work a bit on the bass driver, get that sorted out. Looks like we've got a P3 from Riega. This was fitted with a Moonstone cartridge from Sumiko. This one is, I think, already just listed last week. All right, moving on to the workbench. This is where we got some active projects to share. I recently sold this Revox turntable, not this one, but this exact model. And in calibrating it, I kind of fell in love with it. It's a B795 from Revox, 1990s or 80s vintage, tangential tone arm, which you see here. Although this looks like a mess, it's a pretty capable tone arm. I mounted a cartridge for a client, had really nice results from it. Fully push button operation, so you don't have to mess around with the tone arm, right? Tangential tone arms like this that are motorized, you can actually just use push buttons to manipulate them. So it's for a specific kind of audience, but it's a really nice piece. But its Achilles heel is its finish. It was finished like many Revox equipment from this era in like a rubberized coating that fails over time. This was before they knew how to make this sort of rubberized coating stable to UV and aging. So I'd seen once before that someone tricked one of these out and it looked pretty cool. I think it was finished in like lime green or something interesting. So what I've done, I've stripped the cast aluminum top, I've stripped the coating from the base, and I'm going to do cosmetic restoration. While we're in here, we'll address some of these aging coaxial caps that tend to fail as well. So this will probably take another month or so, but we're going to do this in a pretty cool color. Not quite sure what it is. If you've got an opinion on it, let me know. Behind it, we've got a Technics SL1200 MK5 killer turntable. We usually mod these out a little bit. We'll do a new head shell, new wire. We'll do a color change on it, add up one of our favorite SL1200 mats, maybe change the feet to better sprung feet. So we'd been selling a bunch of these modded 1200s a year or two ago. We got kind of distracted and moved on, and now we've got another donor here, so we'll pimp this one out and get it cool. Over here, it looks like I've got a Thorens TD124, just finished restoring the drive, and I'm playing around with this red, deep red plinth and arm board. Not quite sure what arm I'm going to put on there. I've got about 6 or 7 choices for the arm. GX747 from Akai. This is a reel-to-reel that's giving me a little bit of a trouble. I've done the typical maintenance items that I do on these, but I'm having a hard time getting drive out of it. I just need another hour to sort this guy out. H.H. Scott. This is a super cool all-tube preamp. Put a shot of it. This arrived about a week ago. It hasn't been tested yet, but it's super clean. I don't see any rust or any issues whatsoever. And this faceplate, which is kind of delicate, they weren't that thick, so it would be very easy to dent one of these corners and bend it, but whoever had this probably kept it in the same place for most of its life because it's in super survivor condition. And it looks like we've got a matching Scott amplifier. So those pair well together. I imagine they came from the same place. All right, moving down into the tech area. Oh, we just got our Sumiko Wellfleet cartridge. This was released not that long ago. I think we're probably one of the first dealers to get these. Super excited to add this to our lineup. This is at the top, I believe, of the standard series. So I just did a video last week on Sumiko cartridges. It's a long one. It's over an hour long, but it's a deep dive into the technology, construction, the types of materials, understanding the differences between moving coil and moving magnet. I spent quite a bit of time on this video. I'll put a link below if you're interested in watching it. But if you really want to finally debunk cartridge design and construction and selection, I think you'll find this video useful. I did not have this cartridge in time for that video, which is a bummer, so I'll have to probably do a little refresh on it. It's sitting here in one of our microscopes for inspection. All right, on our turntable test bench, you saw before our amp and preamp test bench. Well, this one is for actual turntables. This was purposely built for calibrating tables. And I've got a Thorens 124 also just restored on a beautiful plinth. I did do an acrylic arm board on it. I like the combination of the black with the walnut. And here is a SME 3009 vintage torn arm. This is one of my favorite torn arms. Super versatile, easy to set up, very adjustable, and I get great results with Sumiko cartridges. So that's the tone arm of choice for this particular build, which probably will be ready by next week. All right, before I mention the MC75 monoblocks, the gold edition, well, we've got the C2300 here that's in repair. We're almost done with it. We're just waiting for an IC chip for it. It's going to bring it back to brand new specification. So I was digging through my Macintosh bin. I found these super cool gold knobs and the end caps. And I realized that that's enough to actually do a gold color conversion to this 2300. So I thought it'd be really cool to have both the matching gold knobs and end caps to the MC75. So we're going to do a color change on this piece once we're done with it, and we're going to bundle it with those monoblocks. So if you want an opportunity to own a rare, super desirable collection of pieces, the 2300 is my absolute favorite preamp from this era, and I'll show you why. When you go to the back of the 2300, there is nothing but analog. There's no DAC in here, there's no card-based system. This is a purely analog, all tube preamp, and I think it was the last before they finally added a DAC. Because on my test bench, my phono test bench, I've got an MC2500, which I can probably sneak a peek this way. And you'll see that it's got a DAC all the way in the far right corner. Sorry for the crappy shot, but maybe from over here. Yeah, there it is. So as soon as we went to the 2500, which is my weapon of choice for this calibration bench, they did add a DAC, in fact. All right, moving on. We've got a lot of more pieces to go over. Krell KSA 200S. Pretty powerful amplifier from Krell. We're going through it, putting it through its paces. We're making sure it's working brilliantly, and we have the matching preamp for this, which I think we're already tested. All right, and this came in yesterday. It's an MC2500 earlier edition of a great amplifier, 500 watts ×2, super powerful. We have this one listed in black, but I actually like it in this champagne gold a bit better. This just arrived. We've got some cosmetic issues to deal with here. Seems like we've got some rust on these washers, but these clean up super nice. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the silk screening on the top like some of them do, or maybe that's the 2300 that has the silk screening. But it's a wonderful amplifier, so we'll sort this one out. I know it works, but it probably needs a bias, calibration, you know, cleaning of controls. These are super reliable, so it's rare that we get one of these that isn't working. All right, so on this bench, the Red Road Music that I talked about last time is still sitting here. I think we're waiting for just minor things. We wanted these little fuses to match, so I think we're waiting on some of these fuses to come in. All right, on the test bench, this is Ben's test bench, the C29 just came in. That actually came in with the MC2500. It's the first time that we have a 29. I imagine it's similar to some of its predecessors, but I'm curious to look inside and see how this differed from the C28, for example. And then on my bench, nothing active right now. I do have these center caps for my Ford Escort Cosworth, which someone 3D printed. Unbelievable what they're able to do with 3D printing these days. So anyway, it's a cool car. It's not here right now, but we're getting it ready for some car shows this summer. Speaking of cars, up in the lift is my venerable E30 M3. 1988, 89? No. Elliot, what year is the M3?
91.
91. So this is the last generation of the E30 M3s. One of the most beautiful cars to drive. It's absolutely a childhood dream. And I've had this for a few years, and now it's here just for storage. Not much else happening to it. All right, let's see. Back this way, another active project. I've got, these Patricians had come in, and this particular grill was totally destroyed. Let me show you what it would have looked like. So this grill here is original. So I found this really cool fabric, and I thought it matched nicely, or it had the right look. It's acoustic fabric. So I've already redone this one. I'm gonna go ahead and do the second speaker. All the drivers and the working condition of these speakers is absolutely perfect as they came, but they do have some sort of cosmetic issues that I have to deal with. I've got some sort of light water damage here on the sides, got some scratches for that the turkeys that move these speakers did to them. So I've got some cosmetic things to deal with in the cabinet, but these Patricians, they're specifically the Patrician 800s, are very desirable. I'm hoping these will go in some sort of one of these new vinyl bars or restaurants that are doing vintage equipment. I thought this could get built into a cabinet and be a tremendous sort of presentation for a vintage speaker. We get calls almost every month from someone opening a vinyl bar that is looking for equipment. So I've earmarked that for that purpose. All right, I think that covers most of what's arrived, including our new projects. I appreciate you watching and supporting us. It's really a lot of fun making these videos for you guys. Please give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe to keep us motivated. And if you see something you liked, you can probably find it on our website, skyfiaudio.com, where you'll see over 600 items listed at any given point. If you don't see it, drop us a note. It means that we're preparing it to go to market, but it may just not be ready. And you know, leave comments below. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions about a system or upgrades or cartridges, I make a significant effort to try to answer every message. At least in the last 6 or 9 months, I have been pretty diligent with it. So if you've got a question about something you've seen, if you've got a question about your system, or if you want to share an anecdote or a piece of equipment that you're excited about, please do so. Love the comments, love to hear from you guys, and thank you for watching.